Hello all, this is Andrew Lewis with GL Rustic Design, and today we're going to be working on a farmhouse queen size bed with X's on it, and we'll go ahead and get started. So here we're starting with the headboard, and so pretty much I used 1x8s and pieced them together with pocket holes on the back, and I've already pre-cut, pre-drilled everything that I need, so I just have to assemble it. So each piece, you'll need 9 pieces cut at 30 inches long, and then like I said, 2-3 pocket holes for each board, and then you'll have to take one of the boards and trim it down. You ultimately need 61 inches wide. So like I said, I'm just screwing in the pocket holes in each board to connect those, and I actually later in the video I have to go back and cut a piece off of this because I did not cut it down to 61, so you might see a little gap at the end. But so here we're going to use 1x4. I just cut up pieces of 1x4 by 12, and the two at the top will be 61 inches long to fit over the back of the headboard, and then so you'll need 4 pieces for the middle. Those will be cut at 23 inches long, and then there's 2 pocket holes in each one of those. And like I said, I try to speed the video up just so you don't have to watch all this, but it's going to be the same process for the headboard and the footboard. The footboard will just be a little smaller. Like I said, so you'll have and these will be spaced approximately 20 inches apart. You can just kind of measure it up until each one of them is equal distance. And this is the second bed frame that I made for one of my customers. So like I said, here I'm just marking off where I need it, and then I'm marking the middle of the 1x4 so that I can line those 2 marks up. So this is hands down the most tedious process of both the bed frames. So just be talking a little bit while I finish this. So like I said, this is the second bed frame that I'm doing. They're both identical. Each bed, every mattress I've come to find out, every mattress that I've done so far, they have not been the same measurements. So you can't just pull a measurement off of Amazon or Google or whatever, and you need to physically measure the mattress width times length. And how I usually do it is I go inch over on all 4 sides just to give it a little bit of room. So anyway, so back to the headboard. So here I am. I'm doing the X's, as you can see on the other bed frame that's on the other side of my shop. So here I cut a 1x4 in half. So that would be approximately 3/4 of an inch. No, I'm sorry. That would be approximately 1 3/4 of an inch. And then so I line it up. I go from corner to corner, and then I take my pen and I draw a line instead of trying to figure out the math. And then I go with my miter saw, and then I cut right along that line. And then I go to my Craig jigging machine, and I'll use a 1.5 inch pocket hole in each side just to hold the X's there. and I actually do. I do all the long pieces first of each X, just because my saw is already in that same spot. I don't have to twist it back and forth with the other side. Like I said, here just draw another line. It's the same exact steps for all 3 X's, and it's the same thing when you get to the footboard. Like I said, headboard and footboard's all the same. They're just different sizes. So anyway, I have a few more shop projects that I'll be getting out in the next few weeks. I just got a shaper table in, so that I can start doing cabinet doors. It came in this past Sunday. I had a friend of mine help me move it in. It will actually be on the right side corner of my shop. And then I have a joiner table that will be here. It ships on the 16th, so I'll get it in one day next week. So I'm very excited. All those 2x10s you see laying there to the left, to my right side in the video, but your left side. All those 2x10s have to be ran through the table saw, and then ran through the joiner to make sure that they're all nice and square and flush and flat. If you haven't already, please go like and subscribe my channel. My goal is to post at least 2 videos a month. I'm gonna start doing as I do the orders. Still in the future, I still want to do an entertainment center. So probably my next order for entertainment center, I'll probably video that one. I should have an order for a few kitchen tables. That video will be coming up soon. Kitchen islands. I do a few of those every now and then. I do a lot of dog kennels. So I'll also be posting a video of a dog kennel. And so here I am doing the other side of the X. So it's the same concept as the long side of the X, except you just have to cut the middle out of it. So you'll need 2 pieces. So you like you saw me do, you'll need to lay it up under the face of it, and then go from corner to corner, and draw your line for the bottom and the top, and then the 2 middle pieces, and then go over to the miter saw, cut all the lines, and then here I'm just like before, I'm at my Craig jig machine, and I'm putting the 1.5 inch pocket holes in the wood so that I can connect all of the X's. So here's me line it up. It's a good rule of thumb to line the pieces up and just put a mark, make sure you have the top and the bottom right, and so that you're not mixing them up, or you drill the pocket holes on the wrong side. I've done that before. Here you could even you could just straight screw it down. You don't have to use pocket holes. You can use glue. I just prefer pocket holes because that's what I use the most of. Like I said, here is same exact concept. This will ultimately end up being the majority of the video. Me doing the headboard and the footboard. So after I get all 3 of these X's done, I'll end up doing the sides. So there's you'll have 2 2x4s that will be screwed into the side of the headboard, and those are 34.5 inches long. Make sure that you keep the top flush, the top of the 34.5 inch 2x4 flush with the top of the headboard, which you'll see after I get done doing these X's. And then you will so you need 2 of those, and then you'll need to cut 2 2x4s at 54 inches long, and that will be the outside, the farthest outside 2x4. And the reason for that is because the 2x10 for the side that your lats will sit on, that's will the 2x10s will ultimately fit and connect to the headboard, just to keep everything as sturdy as it possibly can be. So like I said, here we're almost done. Working on that last X. Still the same concept. If y'all have any questions about anything that I use, any kind of tools, just if there's some tools that you might get away from not using, which I mean, I say you don't have to use a miter saw. It's much easier if you have a miter saw. You could use a table saw. You could use a circular saw. These bed frames are not hard at all to build. They're just big and bulky and take up a lot of room, and people look at them like they're an extremely hard build, but they're not. So here, after I get this last side, the last two pieces of the third X done, I will flip the board over, lay it face down, and then use my clamp, and I'll screw in a inch and a half Torx head screw in all four corners, just to hold the face down to the back of the headboard, and then I will do, I think, two in the middle. And then the two middle pieces that are cut at 23 inches long, that are between each X, I'll also put a screw in those, like I said, just to further hold the face to the back of the headboard. Like I said, here is when I realized that I did not cut my piece. So I had to go back. I had to edit that part of the video out, and then here I am screwing down each inch and a half screw. Just clamp it, screw for each corner. Pretty easy standard process. And so here, I had put a mark on. I had set the headboard up, and then put took a pin, took a little blue line to the back of the headboard, so I know where the middle, so I know where the 1x4 pieces that were cut at 23 inches long are in between the X's, so I know on the back where to drill those. Like I said, clamp them down, put a screw in all of them. And then also on the outside of the headboard, I had put two Craig jig holes to help hold down the 2x4s that I'll later screw in at 34.5 inches. And my video actually cut off on me, so I didn't get the whole process of me putting down the 34.5 2x4s and the 54, but I just took a little quick shot. As you can see here, I'm getting the pieces that are cut at 34.5, putting them on the side, putting the Craig jig pocket screws in first, and then I'll go back and do, once I put two of those screws, and then I'll take a 3.5 inch screw, put that in, and then as you can tell, here's the finished headboard, 34.5, 54.5, the top 2x6 is cut at roughly 69 inches. And I'll go and kind of continue talking about the headboard a little bit too. So then the piece that you see missing, so you have the 34.5 inch piece, 2x4 on the outside, and then you have the gap, and then you have a piece. You're going to measure that. It's somewhere around 10 inches and a quarter ish. Just make sure that you have at least 9 3/8 of an inch gap, just so that 2x10 for the sides that holds the lats on will also fit in there. And like I said, the top 2x6 is cut at 69 inches, and I just put 3 screws to the top of it, and it holds that down. So here I'm working on the footboard. The footboard, same exact process as the headboard. It's just smaller, so you're going to have 9 pieces cut at you're going to have 9 pieces of 1x8 cut at ultimately width is 61 inches, but they're going to be 15 inches tall, each one of them. Like I said, same exact process. You got to do the X's, so you can revert back to how to do the X's again. The only difference is I cut all those boards in half, so those are 1 3/4 for the top trim piece, bottom trim piece, all the middle pieces, and the X's are all 1 3/4. So here on the sides, it's kind of the same process with the headboard, except for you're going to use 2 2x4s, and those are cut at 21 inches long. You're going to screw those into the sides on each one, and then when you get the other one done, I just make sure everything was lined up, clamped it down so it didn't move, and then put 2 more screws in the side of that. Like I said, that's done on each side. And then just kind of jumping ahead, my next step is, go ahead and that 2x6 is going to be the same distance. It's going to be roughly 69 inches. I usually you can measure it up and put a inch overhang on each side, or if you want to make it flush, however you want. If you want it flush, it's going to be somewhere around 67 inches. Like I said, just measure it. Make sure you measure everything before you put it on. And here you're seeing me turn the footboard around in just a minute and show you the finished product of that. So moving on to the next step, you're going to have the 2x10s. The lats is the next step. So each lat is going to be cut at the 2 outsides. Is going to be 81 inches, and this will be where the actual bed frame sits. So like I said, the outside is going to be 81 inches, and then all the ones on the middle, those are going to be 58 inches. Like I said, measure your bed before you do any of this, and make sure you give yourself about an inch on each side, just for play. I said I spaced these out 12 inches from the top, 12 inches all the way down, just because the customer had a box springs and a mattress, and I put 2 screws on each side. Like I said, I marked it 12 inches. If you just have a mattress, you need to do them at 10 inches spaced apart. Like I said, I just screwed them all in, 2 3-inch torque screws on each side. And kind of jumping ahead, so these 2x10s, they're cut at 83.5 inches, and I put 3 to 4 3-inch torque screws to hold that, to connect that to the headboard on that side, and then the other side that's going to connect to the footboard. I used I think on this one I used 4 2.5-inch pocket holes to initially attach it to the footboard, just kind of hold it in place. And here you can see me using the long bit Craig jig screw. I'll try and get the best angle, and so the 2x10 needs to be the same distance. So whatever at the top, if it's 10 inches and a quarter, you need to put a little mark 10 inches and a quarter on the footboard, and then use those pocket holes and connect those to the inside, the first 2x4 on the outside. So like you want the 61 inches to be your ultimate width in the middle. Like I said, you can connect those four, and then we'll come back, and you can tell that I've got used to working by myself. I use paint buckets and pieces of wood to kind of hold the lats in the middle. It's always nice to have an extra set of hands, but unfortunately I don't at the moment. So like I said, I just move the lats in. Those will be connected. You'll put a 3-inch screw between each of those boards, like you see me doing here. That should fit snug. That should ultimately be 61 inches wide, and it'll fit snug at the footboard. I only end up putting 4 screws in this video just because the sole fact I knew I had to take it apart when the customer came and got it. But I did put all the screws. Like I said, 3-inch torch screw, clamp it down. I set it at the very bottom because, like I said, you're going to have a box spring, and then you're also going to have a mattress. So if you just wanted a mattress, you could leave it like it is, or you could raise those lats up to further fit that. And here's the finished piece. This is stained, and then this was a gray distress. I just want to say thank you again for all that's watching, and please go like and subscribe to my page.